Hi everyone, my name is Deanna Weaver, and for my individual presentation, I chose High School Dropout. Discussion of the article and issues. This article was published in 2019, so all of the data and research that is presented in the article is fairly recent to today, and it comes from Gale Opposing Viewpoints online collection. So to recap this article is to educate readers on high school dropout rates and what influences them, and it has a big negative emphasis on dropping out. It includes a lot of studies and data to back its opinion, and it suggests ways to prevent high school dropouts. So main points, there are several factors that play into the dropout rate. We have school-related factors, community-related factors, family-related factors, and student-related factors. So for the school-related factors, maybe you have staff or faculty that is not qualified to be teaching in the position they're in. Maybe they don't have much interest or care to watch their students succeed. Community-related factors, maybe you live in a community that does not value high school education. Maybe it's high in violence or gangs or crimes, and there's just not much of a push for education in the community. Family-related factors, this could be several different things. Maybe you have younger siblings that you need to stay at home to take care of while your parents or parent go to work. Maybe your family is hurting financially and you need to get a job to help supplement the income, anything like that. And the student-related factors, this could be a learning disability. Maybe they have behavioral issues. The student just doesn't really see the need for education and doesn't see the need for them to stay in high school. That is not going to better their life. Another main point is that dropping out is rarely sudden or unforeseen. That's touched on a lot in the article, that there's a lot of things leading up to people dropping out. And this article focuses on 4 strategies to prevent dropout rates. We have the foundational approaches, early intervention, core academic strategies, and an improving quality of teaching and instruction. Analyzing the argument. This article opposes high school dropouts. It is intended for educators and parents or anyone like myself who is interested in high school dropout rates and what influences them. And it is biased that graduating high school will provide an all-over better life, and it does not speak to individuals who have been successful with no high school education. So the rhetorical appeal of this article, we have the logos, the ethos, and the pathos. So for the logos, the logic and authority of this article comes from many studies and credible sources. There are several centers and universities presented in the article to make it look credible and to persuade the reader. For pathos, this article touches on negative impacts to high school dropouts, such as a lower income level, a harder time finding a job, and even like a poor health and a poor way of life. So these are very personal subjects that could pull a lot of emotion out of the reader. And for the ethos, the article mentions educators and teachers, and these are used as trusted sources. So people are likely to trust and believe educators because they're educated themselves, and they also work in the environment and have seen high school dropouts firsthand. So the strong points of this article, that dropping out is rarely unforeseen. There are many risk factors that are out of the student's control, such as family and community, and that zero tolerance disciplinary and suspensions do more harm than good. So removing the student from the environment that they're supposed to be educated in can do more harm if they're already on the road to drop out. So if you tell a student to go home, they're not going to feel inclined to come back. And that dropping out has individual and social impacts. So an individual impact could be that the student has a hard time finding a job later in life because that job may require a high school education or something equivalent. And a social impact would be maybe the community doesn't have enough people eligible to work And so maybe these people that can't find jobs are living a way of life that could negatively impact their community. The weak points of this article does not provide any examples of successful high school dropouts, or it doesn't provide any alternative to a high school education such as a GED. And this article is really heavy on data, which I think could deter the readers. I noticed reading it myself that there's a lot of data, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of centers and studies, and you almost kind of get lost in all of these numbers that are thrown at you and dates and data. So the third point touches a little bit on the second point. At the beginning of this article, there is a study that is used to compare the relationship between race and dropout rates. So the study concludes that there is no measurable difference between the two. So the study is saying there's no correlation between your race and the dropout rates. It's all the same across the board. And then after that is mentioned, the author gives you the numbers of race and dropout rates, and the reader themselves can decipher that the dropout rate and race, there is a correlation between the two. So I thought it was interesting that they use this at the beginning of the article. I think that showing a study that's kind of been twisted a little bit, maybe this could undermine and devalue future studies presented for the readers. And there's a lot of studies and a lot of statistics that are presented later on, and the author does risk devaluing those. So my personal argument, I'm a high school graduate, as I'm sure most of us probably are here for continuing our education. And I was taught the value of education. Graduating high school in my household was an expectation and not a choice. It never crossed my mind to ever drop out of high school because my parents would never have allowed that. And I personally think that everyone should push themselves to graduate high school. It is required for almost any job you apply for. If you want to continue your education, it is just a necessity. And there are many great programs online to help those who dropped out early obtain their high school diploma or a GED. And I think that we can do more to encourage and support students from a younger age. I think the studies and data are a great way to start to see where we can intervene to help students be more successful. So different perspectives, that traditional high school is not meant for everyone. Maybe the student needs more attention. And that education does not guarantee a better way of life. And again, people have become very successful with no high school diploma. So the gray area of this article, education does not always mean a better quality of life, that teachers have control over the dropout rate. I think many of us know that not all teachers have the funding or maybe the resources to help drastically change the dropout rate. And people have been very successful without a high school diploma. So the influence of the article, I believe that education is important and can open more opportunities in the future. And the studies and research are useful tools to help us understand why and when individuals drop out. And this article has solidified my opinion that high school education is important. So I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation on high school education.